Today's Bible verse says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." I picked this verse because it expresses a simple idea that has been endlessly important in my life, that faith brings courage and courage brings love. In September 2017, before my junior year was about to start, I got invited to a party and I said I would go. The night before the party, I went on a walk with my mom and our dog Stewie. We walked in silence, but as we passed under the yellow glow of a street light, I said to her, "I'm going to a party tomorrow night." The small talk immediately dissipated. I had never before, not in my entire life, voluntarily revealed something so adolescent about myself to her. She spoke back with a certain graveness to her voice. She leaned in knowing more was behind this remark. What came next was the first courageous act that I give myself credit for. I got a lump in my throat as I said to her, "I feel like I..." Then I stopped, but I couldn't stop the tears, so I finished the rest of the sentence sobbing. "Can't talk to people." The words were quite unexpressive, but the shivers and tears spoke 1,000 words. We talked for an hour after that, and she gave me some cool things to talk with people about at the party, and the whole rundown on the alcohol scene. There's something magical about that night that I've come to realize. In the moment that I surrendered all control, God didn't abandon me, and in fact, He had strengthened me more than ever. He shimmered in the tears that expressed the anguish I'd been feeling for years about social anxiety. He rang through my body and shook free all the demons I'd been wanting to defeat for as long as I could remember. Up until that point, for my entire life, all my mom could have done was guess and observe what was going on inside my world without really knowing. But all it took was a leap of faith on my behalf, a moment of trust in myself and God. And what followed was a breakthrough in my mom's and my relationship, an improvement to both of our lives. As we walked through the night, that faith had flushed out all fear and caution, and in its place came love. So then came the next evening, the night of the party. I strapped a belt around my khaki shorts, put on a fall bra lax t-shirt, debated whether or not wearing a hat indoors would look weird, decided I could do it, and then gave myself a pep talk in the bathroom. "Be yourself," I probably said, which is what you tell yourself when you're a nerdy tennis player dressed like a teenage frat boy. Surprisingly, my parents acted casual as I left, pretending like it was no big deal that the shy one was going to his first high school party. My siblings had always been different than me in that sense and were frequents at parties. I was the designated driver, so I drove fast enough to look cool, but I went slow when they weren't looking to procrastinate on getting to the party. The classic butterflies in my stomach made me want to bark when we pulled up to the house. My worst nightmare, piece by piece, was coming alive. There was no going back. We walked up the steps, greeting the mom of the host at the door, momentarily giving me a state of peace, as it felt like something I had done dozens of times. But then she said, "They're downstairs." The butterflies in my stomach rushed back even more rampant than before. As I descended the carpeted steps to a dimly lit room with loud music, a low ceiling, and familiar faces, I got even tighter. It's terribly difficult to hide in a room full of people, especially when they're all super surprised to see that you're at a party. "Yo, is that Will Clark? No way!" Throughout the night, I talked in a deep voice and said, "Bruh," a lot of times, and eventually made it out of there alive. It didn't occur to me in the moment, but later on I realized that something else besides my fears were at play throughout that night. I got to see what my classmates were like outside of school. It wasn't just me and my fears in that room. It was everyone with all their fears, nuances, and personalities mixed together, cooking up this experience that teenagers go through called growing up. When I walked through the front door of that party, it felt like me versus everyone else. People that I felt I'd been told to love by the unspoken rules of my community. Yet after that night, after being courageous and biting the bullet, I found that love came naturally, with no interventions from anyone else but myself, and it felt surprisingly similar to the night before. As I reflect on experiences like these, I get to see how faith guided me on a path that turned 2 nights I had hoped would end quickly into 2 new openings for love in my life. I really had to let myself walk this path, though, as it wasn't normal for me. Don't let fear stop you from being on the path you want to be on in life. Give yourself permission to take that path, to follow a dream, to try something new, to be up to something, even if your fears say otherwise. What guides me on this journey is the principal idea of Christianity, that is to love one another. But I know that I cannot love someone and fear them at the same time. I cannot love them if I feel disconnected from them. So my faith, which calls me to love others, also calls me to be unafraid of others, to be courageous, and to make a difference. Things that are at odds with shyness. My faith called upon me to let my mom into my world. My faith called upon me to face fear head on and go party in a basement. My faith called upon me to speak to you today, to risk that my story would be talked down. The most promising thing I have found is that courage has taken me well beyond trivial concerns outside of my comfort zone to a realm where I'm no longer afraid of others, where love is effortless. When Kailash Satyarthi, the 2014 Nobel Peace Prize laureate, came to our school, he said this: "History has always been made by those who have courage to jump inside the ring, without worrying for defeat or just looking for victory." I've pondered these words ever since he spoke them, and wondered what made them so potent. Perhaps it is the carefree nature of these words, the thrill of taking a chance, that's refreshing and inspiring. Now I ask, what ring do you want to be in? Now jump in. I had planned on waiting until I grew up, hoping that my fears would fade away with time before I jumped into my life. In other aspects, I'm still standing on the diving board, contemplating when the right moment will be to jump. There's no right moment to do so. God will be with you. He will not forsake you. You do not have to be afraid of what they will say if you act, because God will deliver on his promise. Amen.